Speed and Guyon's Deep Dive podcast is an official podcast made by Speed and Guyon with a voice made from Google's Notebook LM. Do not reproduce our podcast without permissions from the owner. Welcome to the Speed and Guyon's Deep Dive podcast. Okay, let's unpack this. If you're serious about creating content today, well, you need more than just a good camera and an idea. You really need to understand the platform's rulebook strategically.
Exactly. We're diving into YouTube's community guidelines and the strike system, that whole thing.
Yeah, the infamous strike system.
For anyone making stuff online, knowing these rules isn't optional. It's pretty much essential for survival, definitely for growth and making money.
So what are we drawing on today?
We've got a mix. Official help docs, some legal takes on it, and importantly, stories from creators about how this stuff actually plays out in the real world.
Right, the ground truth. And our goal here is pretty clear, isn't it?
Yeah, we want to cut through the complexity, make it really clear what's a policy issue versus a copyright thing, detail the penalties, how they stack up.
And crucially, show you exactly how to appeal if you think YouTube got it wrong. Which, let's be honest, can happen.
It definitely can.
Okay, let's start at the foundation. The community guidelines, the CGs. What's the scope here?
The CGs are like the global constitution for YouTube. They cover everything, not just your videos.
What's it?
Yeah, comments you leave, the links in your description, playlists you make, even your thumbnails. If it's on YouTube, it falls under these rules.
Wow, okay. So how do they organize this? Is there a system?
There is. They basically group prohibited content into 5 main categories. This helps frame how they think about enforcement.
5 pillars. Let's take the first one.
First up is spam and deceptive practices. This is a really broad one. It's basically anything designed to mislead people or game the system.
Like buying views.
Exactly. That's false engagement, also impersonating someone else, running scams, and this is a tricky one, external links. Well, your video could be perfectly fine, totally compliant, but if you link out to a website that violates YouTube's rules, your video can get taken down for that link.
Ooh, that's a big catch. What about, say, affiliate links, if someone has a lot of them?
Yeah, the sources mention that. It's not that affiliate links are banned, but if you have huge amounts of content where it looks like the main point is just to drive traffic off platform, not provide value on YouTube, that could be seen as spam. It seems to come down to intent.
Intent, got it. Okay, pillar number 2.
That's sensitive content. This is heavily focused on protecting minors. Child safety is paramount here.
Makes sense. What else falls under sensitive?
Things like nudity or sexually suggestive content, content promoting suicide or self-injury, and also really excessive vulgar language. That often gets an age restriction, though sometimes it can lead to removal.
Okay, so spam and sensitive. The next 3 sound like they cover more active harm. Let's talk violent or dangerous content.
Yeah, this is where things get serious. It covers harassment, which is broad. Think cyberbullying, but also doxing, sharing someone's private info like their address or medical records.
Hate speech.
Hate speech is also in this category. Targeting groups based on things like race, religion, gender identity, age, and of course graphic violence just for shock value, or promoting violent criminal groups.
Right. Category 4 is regulated goods. This sounds more specific.
It is. It's mainly about controlling commerce in harmful items. So no selling firearms or ammunition. You can't even show how to assemble or install certain firearm accessories.
And beyond guns.
It also bans content promoting the sale of other illegal or regulated things, drugs, fake IDs, even stolen bank account passwords, stuff like that.
Okay. And the 5th category, this one seems to get a lot of headlines. Misinformation.
Absolutely. This focuses specifically on falsehoods that could cause serious real-world harm. The platform is particularly concerned about things like election misinformation stuff intended to suppress voting or dispute results illegitimately.
And medical misinformation.
Yes, that's a big one cited in the sources, especially around COVID-19. Content that directly contradicts consensus from major health bodies like the WHO or local health authorities is a target here.
Okay, so those are the 5 big buckets of rules. Now, the part everyone dreads, enforcement. How does YouTube actually bring the hammer down?
Well, it usually starts fairly gently with a warning.
A warning shot.
Kind of. The first time you violate any community guideline, you typically just get a one-time warning. There's no penalty to your channel. You can still upload, stream, everything. But that warning stays on your record.
But wait, there's been a really significant change here recently, right? A bit of relief for creators.
Huge relief, yes. This is big news. Now, that initial warning isn't necessarily permanent anymore. It can expire after 90 days. You have to complete an optional policy training. It's usually short, focused on the specific policy you violated. If you do the training, and then crucially don't violate that same policy again for 90 days, the warning disappears from your channel.
That's massive, especially for people with old warnings just sitting there.
Exactly. Creators were really happy about this change, and the stats show most people don't go further. YouTube says over 86% of creators who get a warning never get a strike.
Okay, 86% is encouraging, but what about the other 14%? If you mess up again, or if the violation is really bad?
That's when the strike system kicks in, and it works on a strict 90-day clock.
Okay, break it down. Strike one.
Strike one, if you get a strike, the offending content comes down, and you get a 1-week timeout. For that week, you can't upload videos, start a live stream, make community posts, add stories, or even change your custom thumbnails. Basically, you're silenced.
1-week lockout. What if you get another one soon after?
Strike two. If that happens within 90 days of strike one, the penalty doubles. It's a 2-week restriction period. Same limitations, just longer.
And a dreaded strike three.
Strike three. If you get a third strike within that same 90-day window from the first strike, that's it. Channel termination. Permanent removal from YouTube.
Wow. Okay, that 90-day window is critical. But there's an exception, right? For really bad stuff.
Yes, severe abuse. If a channel is clearly dedicated to violating policies like, say, a channel purely for spam or hate speech, or if there's just one single instance of really severe abuse like predatory behavior, YouTube can terminate the channel immediately. No warning, no strikes, just gone.
Okay, super important point here for everyone listening. We've talked about community guideline strikes. How are these different from copyright strikes? People confuse them all the time.
They really do, and it's crucial to understand the difference. A community guideline strike means YouTube believes you broke their rules, spam, hate speech, whatever. It's about platform policy.
Right. Internal rules.
A copyright strike is totally different. That's a legal issue, usually under the DMCA. It means a third-party owner, like a movie studio or record label, has filed a formal legal notice saying you use their copyrighted material without permission.
So the source of the complaint is different. One is YouTube, one is an outside owner.
Exactly. And the process is different. You appeal CG strikes to YouTube. Copyright strikes involve a legal process, potentially counter notices, and dealing with the claimant.
And the penalties can differ too.
Yeah, for instance, a copyright strike might temporarily disable features like video chapter timestamps for 90 days, which doesn't happen with CG strikes. Different systems, different consequences.
Okay, knowing the rules and penalties is half the battle. The other half is fighting back when you think they got it wrong.
Yeah.
Let's talk appeals. What's the timeline?
You actually have a decent amount of time. For warnings or strikes, you get 6 months to appeal the decision. If it was just content removal, maybe a video got taken down, but no strike, you have up to a full year.
And how do you actually do it?
It's usually done right through YouTube Studio. You go to your content list, find the video with the restriction, and there should be an option to review the issue and submit an appeal. You can often do it from the main YouTube app, too, under your account section.
Now, you mentioned something earlier that is absolutely vital.
Okay.
A life-saving tip for creators facing a strike.
Yes. Cannot emphasize this enough. Do not delete the video if you want to appeal.
Why not? Seems counterintuitive.
Because if you delete the video yourself, the strike stays on your record, but you lose your ability to appeal it forever. Deleting it is like pleading guilty and throwing away your chance to argue your case. Always appeal first. Let YouTube review it again.
That is gold. Okay, so you appeal. What happens then? What are the possible outcomes?
3 main possibilities. Best case. YouTube agrees with you, reinstates the content, and removes the strike or warning completely. You're back to normal.
Okay, outcome 2.
Second outcome. They might decide, okay, this doesn't violate our core rules, but it's not really for everyone, so they could keep the content up but apply an age restriction, or maybe just remove the custom thumbnail if that was the issue. The strike still gets removed in this case, usually.
So still a partial win.
Yeah.
And the third outcome?
Third outcome. They uphold their original decision. The violation stands, the strike remains, and the content stays down. Importantly, though, you don't get an extra penalty just because your appeal was rejected.
Right. No penalty for trying. Okay, this leads us into the gray areas. The sources we looked at highlighted a lot of friction between creators and YouTube's enforcement. A lot of it seems to center on one key concept: EDSA.
Yes, the EDSA exception. This is probably the most important defense creators have for certain types of content. It stands for educational, documentary, scientific, or artistic context.
So context is king.
Absolutely. Content that might otherwise break the rules, maybe it shows something graphic or discusses a controversial topic, could be allowed to stay up if it clearly provides EDSA context. Think historical news footage, a scientific explanation, or an artistic performance.
But this sounds really subjective. And we know so much of the initial detection is automated, right?
That's exactly the core of the friction. Automation flags content at a massive scale. One source mentioned that in a recent quarter, something like 99.5% of comment removals were initially flagged by AI, not a person.
Wow.
Human reviewers then have to step in, often under time pressure, and make that judgment call. Does this flagged content actually have EDSA value?
And sometimes they miss it. The anecdotes are pretty wild.
They are. We saw reports of creators getting strikes for things that seem, well, confusing, like a channel getting a medical misinformation warning simply for streaming an official public congressional hearing unedited.
Just streaming C-SPAN, basically.
Pretty much. Or another example mentioned was a hate speech strike for an old cartoon, like a vintage Donald Duck, short from decades ago. It shows how algorithms looking for patterns can flag things completely out of context.
Yeah, the algorithm doesn't always get satire or history, but there were also hints that maybe things are loosening up slightly in some areas.
There were reports, yes. Some sources indicated internal guidance for reviewers suggesting they be a bit more lenient on content discussing sensitive topics like ideology, race, or gender, especially if it's in the public interest.
How much more lenient?
The report suggested reviewers were told not to remove such content unless more than half of it broke the rules. Apparently, the previous threshold might have been stricter, like 25%. So it suggests a slight shift towards allowing more discussion, even if parts of it are problematic. It's a constant balancing act for them.
Okay, so navigating CGs is complex enough. But for creators wanting to actually earn money through the YouTube Partner Program, YPP, there's another whole layer of rules.
Oh, yeah. Monetization policies are strict. When you apply for YPP, YouTube doesn't just check if you avoided strikes. They do a holistic review of your channel.
Holistic, what does that mean?
They look at your overall theme, your most viewed videos, your newest videos, metadata like titles and descriptions, thumbnails, everything. They're checking compliance with CGs, sure, but also with specific monetization policies.
And one policy seems to trip up more channels than almost any other: reused content.
That's the big one. It's not about copyright usually. You could have full permission to use footage, no copyright claims at all, and still get rejected for reused content.
So what is it about then?
It's about value add. YouTube wants content where the creator adds something significant and original. The policy basically prohibits repurposing other people's content without adding substantial original commentary, educational value, or significant editing that creates something new.
Give us some examples. What fails?
Simple compilations like best of TikTok clips strung together, collections of songs with just static images, reading out Reddit posts with no commentary. Basically anything where you just took content from elsewhere and didn't transform it meaningfully.
That also sounds like it overlaps with another policy, repetitious content.
It does. That's part of the inauthentic content policy. It targets low effort, templated, or programmatically generated content that doesn't offer much entertainment or educational value. Think mass-produced videos with slight variations.
So what passes the reused content test? What kind of channels get monetized using third-party footage?
Channels where the creator's input is central. Think critical reviews where you analyze clips, reaction videos, but ones with insightful commentary, not just watching silently. Edited footage woven into a new narrative or documentary. The key is your unique contribution.
Okay, we've really covered the map here. The 5 main no-go zones in the community guidelines, the whole 90-day strike system, that crucial point about appealing before deleting.
Right, and the difference between CGs, copyright, and those tricky monetization policies like reused content, understanding all these layers is just fundamental for anyone trying to build something sustainable on YouTube.
We talked about how much relies on automated systems for the initial catch.
But then it falls to human reviewers to make those really nuanced calls on things like EDSA, is this graphic footage educational? Is this sensitive discussion artistic?
Which brings us to a final thought for you, the listener. Given that heavy reliance on tech for flagging and the subjectivity of human review for context, what else can creators do? Beyond just careful titles and descriptions, How can you build your content or structure your channel to better signal its contextual value to both the algorithms and the reviewers?
Yeah. How do you make sure the educational or artistic part is undeniable, even when scanned by a machine looking for patterns? Something to chew on.
See you again in the next episode of this podcast.